Hey everyone, welcome back to DR Sports. We've got some breaking news and it is regarding an Erling Haaland injury. We're going to go through a little bit of the details around that. We're really projecting ahead because the news is quite literally breaking this morning. And it's a groin injury. It means he's going to miss the Euro qualifiers against Spain and Georgia, I believe it is, for Norway. We're going to take a look at the more cynical side of things that some people are discussing. But there's a legitimate cause for concern here for Man City fans as well, and potential implications on, well, the rest of his season, the title race, all that. We'll explore it all. I'm here with Matisse. Matisse, your instant reaction to the groin injury for Erling Haaland?
Well, it's a massive concern, isn't it? Even for not only Manchester City, but Norway, because obviously the Euros and the qualifiers are coming up. Now, obviously, there will be people that are thinking in the back of their minds, is this being planted there on purpose? Because Manchester City want to save them for the Premier League title race. Obviously, their Champions League, they've got Bayern Munich. It's a massive fixture to get into the semi-finals. But like we just said, Norway, why would they allow that? Why would they sanction that? They want to qualify. They have their own ambitions. If it's more severe and it's potentially a long-term injury, or it's going to keep them out for the crucial game against Liverpool, which is the first game back from the international break, then that is a massive blow. I know, we could look at the alternatives of Alvarez, but he's not really, tried and tested as the first choice. He's kind of coming in here and there, contributing, sometimes playing with him, just behind him, just off him, a few Champions League games here and there. But it's a similar situation to what we saw at Arsenal with Jesus, where kind of a bit of the unknown, whether you can step up and really handle that pressure, game in, game out in the title race, which is what it will be.
That's a very good point. And you touched on a lot of things, especially solutions. I definitely want to explore that. But let's just give some of the detail around this. So, as we said, it's an injury that they think he suffered against Burnley. He is missing the Spain and Georgia Euro qualifiers. Now, the key thing is, now often players that get called up and maybe in the days before or before heading out, they sort of announce to their nations, I'm missing this. And there is that kind of more cynical, you know what, I kind of need the rest and the muscle's a bit uncomfortable. And let's face it, for a World Cup, maybe they'd be able to, do what they've got to do and get through it, massage their way through it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But he did actually go to Norway or meet the Norwegian camp and underwent some tests, and they basically deciphered from that he should return to Manchester, where he's now gone to resume his recovery. For what it's worth, a groin injury, and we don't know which one it is for Haaland. As I said, there's still more details to come out, but a grade 1 injury would be 1 to 2 weeks, which puts him in contention for the Liverpool game. A grade 2, this is tears we're talking, would be 3 to 6 weeks, and grade 3 is as bad as it gets. You're talking 4 months out. Now, there's no suggestion that it's anything like that. Yeah. It is looking like a pull or a discomfort or a light tear of a grade 1 to 2 weeks maybe. But whatever it is, they clearly didn't feel it was worth risking. Now, before we approach the more cynical side in more detail, they are in a group with Spain, Scotland, Georgia and Cyprus. No disrespect to them, but they've got a good opportunity, Norway, with the likes of Martin Odegaard as well, to really progress, make it to a major tournament. Of course, they didn't make it to the World Cup. As much as the cynical Arsenal fan in me wants to say, here we go, they're resting their players for the run-in and all that. Yeah. I have a feeling there might be a little bit more to this.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge if there is more to this, because the title race we've seen already, Manchester City, even when they take Haaland out, I think they took him out for a few games before the World Cup, and they kind of took a while to get back into their rhythm again, because of course they're used to now servicing him. You will look at where the goal's going to come from if Haaland is removed from that team, who's going to step up to the plate. They've got a lot of attackers, a lot of quality attackers, but they've been so focused on creating chances for him, having him on the end of chances, that if you had to revert for a big game against Liverpool, which is the main one I'm looking at, obviously Bayern Munich is a massive game as well, not to mention the semi-finals coming up as well, but they should be able to handle that. If you have to change your tactics for such big games and now go back to what we knew, which was maybe the false nine or etc., that's a big change for that team. Mentality-wise, it's going to completely shift between, all right, get the ball to Haaland, service Haaland, get goals for Haaland, to now, what now? Now we got to kind of figure this out on our own and be a little bit more, fluid and unpredictable. It's not easy.
Well, we've talked about it on Talking Tactics, how are Man City adapting to Haaland? And we said, actually, it's taking a little bit of time. It's not taking him time to adapt to the Premier League, but it's maybe taking them time to adapt to him in terms of when that service is cut off. We know Man City is a team that have so many different avenues to goal. This season, it has been more focused on one player, very un-Guardiola to a degree. And he's been doing his thing. But how do they adapt? Because the natural thing is, well, we have a World Cup, final starter and winner on the bench that we can call on. But you're right, it's a different proposition. It's a different approach. Maybe they turn to the false nine, but then with a false nine, they don't have the same direct out-and-out pace they used to have out wide that basically allow for the false nine to be effective. So it's very interesting to see how Man City might adapt, because even if you look at Grealish and Mahrez out wide and Foden, even they're creators. It feels like everything is about serving Haaland. So I've got no doubt Man City can respond. And as an Arsenal fan, I'm not really getting my hopes up too much.
You're not, no?
You don't wish injury on anyone. And I actually mean that. But and Man City without Haaland, they got so much quality. I think they'll just find another way. If anything, they might not be as potent and they might not be as efficient in front of goal. But I think they might get a degree of fluidity back. And I know they've been finding that in recent weeks. But I'm not particularly, I don't know if excited is the word, but you know what I mean.
It sounds like a Talking Tactics. If he's out for, say, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, it sounds like a Talking Tactics. How do you Manchester City move forward, without Erling Haaland? It's gonna.
Well, if I'll tell you what, if we find out that it is more serious and we're talking a spell missing Liverpool, I think there's a video in that.
I think there's a video there.
We'll bring that.
I definitely do.
The cynical side of things, though.
Yes.
If this is, Man City just going a bit of an uncomfortable, a bit discomfort, and you're not all right, it's not worth risking it, and you come back, he's going to get the kind of rest that I think for the amount of football he's played at a young age, the amount of pressure on his shoulders is going to be very needed for him in the title race.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he also got that World Cup break as well, which you just knew he was going to come back fully charged. And he's such a weird player because he scored 8 goals in the last 2 games?
Something like that.
And it's just not even spoken about anymore. It's like, oh yeah, Haaland got 8 goals in 2 games. That's just whatever. Do you know what I mean? If that was anybody else, people would be talking about their week until the cows come home and be like, 5 goals in 1 Champions League game, followed up by a hat-trick in the FA Cup. People will be talking about it, really, really getting into it about what an incredible player that we've got in this league, but it doesn't really feel like that's the case with Haaland.
It's totally normalised it.
It is normalised because he's a freak of nature. You know what I mean? This is just what you expect him to do. If he only gets 1 or 2 goals in the game, you're like, he could have been better, but that's just whatever. I think when it comes down to him, it's more about the Champions League as well, because that's kind of what he was purchased for. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've already won the Premier League 4 times out of the last 5. They've been very, very consistent. They've put up the 100 points. They've scored the goals. They've gone up against the Liverpools, etc. It's now about, of course, they need to get back in the Premier League summit, and they need to kind of reclaim this situation from Arsenal. But the Bayern Munich game, Champions League, that's a very, very difficult tie, and you don't want to go into that game without him. So if it is cynical, then what? Fair play, because sometimes it has to be done. Bayern Munich are a really, really tough opposition. You saw the options they were bringing off the bench: Mane, Gnabry, Sané. That is ridiculous. And you go through that team. It's a very, very strong team. It's a difficult team to come up against. Man City want everybody out there for that.
Yeah, that's very true. And when you look at the fact that they've got the semi-final in the FA Cup as well, they. I'm not the Arsenal fan that does the whole blessing in disguise thing with Europa. I'm not. I wanted to stay in it, but the cards have been dealt now to a degree, and Arsenal fans and Man City. I think Man City will think, we wanted Arsenal to stay in that Europa. We wanted them to have more games. When you look at the amount they've got, I think they could play another. I think they could play up to 16 games still, from after the international break. Yeah. So if it is a more kind of cynical thing, then, not that I understand it. I always think, it's a shame that the dark arts and stuff like that happens. But you can understand why they really want to manage the minutes of certain players. Yeah. But like I said, I don't think this is that. I actually think there is a legitimate kind of concern here. Maybe not in terms of his long-term fitness, but just in terms of the fact that he's picked up this injury and they've got, as you said, key games coming back. That Liverpool game, I know Liverpool have had problems, but that won't be the easiest.
No.
So let's make some predictions then.
Okay.
And also remind ourselves that he did miss 28 games for Dortmund in the 2.5 years he was there through injury. That was one of the concerns that some people had when talking about him as a potential big money signing for clubs. Of course, they played the release clause that didn't end up being as much as people kind of expected an Erling Haaland to go for. And he's actually had a pretty immaculate injury record since being at Man City.
Yeah.
So let's make some predictions based on everything we've said. Will he be back for the Liverpool game?
I'm going to go with yes. He will be back.
I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah.
But not in a...
Maybe off the bench. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a cynical, we've held him back, he's actually fine, and he's going to
I think it's a legitimate concern. He does have an injury record as well.
I think there is something there, but they've played it safe and he'll probably be okay. But if he doesn't start that game, that will be interesting because it'll be the first time that City have had... Look, I know they've had Diaz out for a period or whatever, but one of their core attackers, like De Bruyne has been fit all season, Haaland the other one. It would be interesting how they adapt.
Yeah, no,
like I said, we'll discuss it on Talking Tactics. Matisse, big thanks.
Pleasure.
That's been the breaking news. Just remind everyone that after an injury suffered against Burnley, Erling Haaland will be missing the Spain and Georgia Euro 20. When even is it? 2024 qualifiers. For Norway. And it's looking a little touch and go whether he'll be back for Liverpool. We will see. And of course, if he is out for the long term, we will do a little video exploring how Man City respond to that. Big thanks to everyone who's watched this video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you very soon.